Corn and beans, overrated? Well, let's be honest, guys. We can make another video telling you how great corn and beans are, and let's face the facts. You already know that. There's certain times of the year in which you should hunt beans. I'm a big bean field guy. Private land, plant beans if you can. Have some corn if you can. Today I want to get into other food sources, okay? The less boring topics. What should you really be looking for in a little bit more detail, whether you're hunting private, public, or just, hunting a combination of the two. And we're going to get into some of those less popular ones that I think make some of the biggest difference if you can find them, if you can identify them, and know when to hunt them. And I have a favorite one that nobody really talks about towards the end of this video. Can't give it to you guys right off the rip. So the first one I think that goes definitely overrated, and everybody's pretty well aware of this one, is hunting hayfields. Okay, these hayfields are really one food source that tends to stay pretty solid as far as the destination food source goes throughout the entire season. Okay, these hayfields, they're super palatable early. They're palatable further into November. Still one of the greener standing foods at that given time. We got mixtures of clover, alfalfa, and a lot of different things within these fields. And as a food plotter or a private landowner, a lot of times we think about, oh, I got to get my corn and beans in because it just feels like the right thing to do. But in reality, some clover and or alfalfa or hayfields, really they're a smart option, because if we think about it, minimal maintenance. We plant it 1 year and we can leave it for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe even more, depending on the planting, and it's minimal maintenance. I'm running into this issue on one of my properties that is 9 hours from home. Tried to do 6 acres of beans. Guess whose beans failed this year? This guy. Trying to maintain fence and all these things from a distance is hard. So I would really tell you guys to lean on hay or clover or alfalfa fields as a super palatable food source throughout your season. Let's get into more of the less talked about food sources though. I got 2 more for you guys. One food source that I really like to focus on is locust pods. For those of you that don't know what locust pods are, it looks like a big snap bean almost. And deer really love to feed on them late in the year. Late in the year being a time in which deer are slaves to their stomach. They're looking for palatable food sources, and if you're the guy who only owns timber, doesn't own agriculture, hunting public land, and you're looking for something to pattern these deer, create this daylight pattern, and ultimately hunt these deer, you need to know where the food in the bed is in a perfect world. Well, if you know to look for locust pods laying on the ground, that might be your ticket. Great late season food sources, highly underrated, and honestly, one of my favorites, maybe towards the top, but maybe not my number one. And in fact, my number one, we will touch on next. For me, we could talk about the white oaks, and we all know that. I'm not going to bore you with the stuff we know about this oak, the different variations of that oak. For me, my favorite oak to hunt, and it is slightly focused in certain areas of the country to a certain extent, is hunting the red oak, okay? Why red oaks? Well, first of all, we got to be able to identify what a red oak looks like. And once we do that, the reason that I would want to hunt red oaks is sometimes in the areas in which red oaks are super predominant, there are not a lot of white oaks, meaning that they are next on that food chain as far as desirable food sources go. And let's say there even are white oaks. Let's say you're in the white oak belt of Missouri or Southern Iowa and all these other places. I'm still focusing on red oaks, because guess what's going to get eaten early season? Those white oaks, meaning that the red oaks are there later in the year. And like I said, they still might be super palatable early in the season, assuming there isn't a lot of white oaks, but let's say you have both, those red oaks will get left behind. And those red oaks will become super, high on that food chain as far as palatable food that's left during the season, making it incredibly attractive. And I wish I had film to show you guys how attractive it truly can be. I was hunting a wooded property 2 years ago. We had a great acorn crop. And in that general acorn red oak stand, it looked like the food plots that you and I dream about planting. Tore up to the dirt, through the snow, a foot of snow. Because those acorns are less palatable and more bitter early in the season, they get left behind. But now they're one of the few things left, and as long as there's not a major freeze that keeps the deer from getting to them, it is the number one favorite food source that I like to tune into and focus on that nobody else talks about. Red oaks, red oaks, red oaks. We all know about white oaks. We all know about corn. We all know about beans. We even all know about hunting hayfields, clover, and things like that. But when it comes to really focusing on certain food sources, when to hunt them and what to hunt, especially later in the season, those locust pods, and I'm telling you guys, the red oaks are the way to go. Pay attention this year when you walk through the timber, find those red oaks, mark them on your map, and see what happens. Those are some of my favorite food sources that I like to hunt.